Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good evening to you, wherever you are. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is being brought to you by Rainbow, and Rainbow is good bread. I would like to dedicate this program today to a new business and its leaders. This new business is located in the northeast area of Oklahoma City. It's located at 3340 North Kelly Street. The name of it is Carlo's Sandwich Shop, home of the Little James hamburger, which is the largest hamburger in town. Carlo's Sandwich Shop is open with a very versatile staff, ready to serve you with a collection of dishes. Specializing in barbecue ribs with that famous Texas-style sauce made by a native Texan. It is the home of the Little James's hamburger with that good old southern fried chicken. Carla's Sandwich Shop has come to the east side to feature catering service and call-in orders for the customer's convenience. They are open daily from 10:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays from 10:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock a.m. Now that's every Saturday. Today's program is a very special program, and it's a special program because you, the most intelligent radio audience in Oklahoma, is listening. It was a great day last week when Martin Luther King bill became a reality. And before we get into that, I would like for you to hear Shelley. Here she is, our ace reporter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shelley Marie Luper bringing you the news. What's wrong with the world? Are you unhappy about some of the things that are going on in the world today? Newspapers, television broadcasts, books, and magazines tell of unfair rules, rotten wars, and people in places who just can't seem to all get going in the right direction. If they could only figure out which direction is right. Does it seem as though the governments in different countries are losing sight of the great ideals that help build them? And what about those countries suffering from the not enoughs? Not enough money, not enough fuel or food to go around, not enough clean air and water, not enough parks and trees, not enough space for people or wildlife, not enough good citizens, not enough leaders, not enough laws, not enough time, not enough this, not enough that. Unfortunately, not enough, simply not enough, exactly not enough. It's enough to start the questions and problems rolling around in your head like a carousel. And if you think about it too much, you can start to feel like you just drank a dozen glasses of sour milk. But everyone's talking about it. What's wrong with the world? So you find yourself with that unhappy sour milk feeling and the whirling problem carousel. All right, enough. Stop. Take deep breaths and imagine that the sour milk taste is really toffee ice cream. And when the worries calm and the carousel stops, think instead about this. The world may be no place to be, but it's the place to be. And while problems make things seem out of place, there's always progress to greater places. You can take heart in progress. Progress means, among other things, forward movement up for the better. Much of the world's progress has come about through the efforts of men and women who dreamed about making things better. Then went to work on those dreams right away. At one time or another, they too were probably struck by the sour milk feeling, the problem carousel. But they had the benefit of plans and ideas to stomp those worries into the dust, and they had the idea of progress to boost their future hopes. Why don't you try a little daydreaming for progress? Who knows, maybe one day you'll be able to present your ideas to thousands, the way Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did during the Great March on Washington. Or you may have the chance to present your ideas to a few with magnificent, far-reaching results like educator Mary McLeod Bethune. How about it? What's wrong with the world? If I told you fantasy world. If I told you about my land of bluish-green people and purple horses where dreams come true, and there really is a pot of gold at the end of every rainbow, where sunsets are multicolored and the richest men might be the beggars dancing in the street, would you say, "Ah, that's nonsense"? Or would you happily admit that you dream of these things too, and join me in my horse's lavender carriage to ride into the multicolored sunset and look out into the summer snow? That has been brought to you by Merlin Hildred. Merlin sells Allstate Insurance. She sells home insurance, life insurance, and car insurance. And by Behold the Walls by Clara Luper. You can contact Merlin by 424-6863. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. It happened on Wednesday in the year of our Lord, 1983. The Martin Luther King's bill became a reality. It was a long, hard fight, starting in 1968 and ending with Martin Luther King's birthday becoming a national holiday. On last Wednesday, the eyes of the world were on the United States Senate in Washington, D.C. It was at that time that the world recognized who the real supporters of freedom, justice, and equality were. The fight had been led in the Senate by the Honorable Senator Kennedy, Senator Dole, and Senator McMeer. It was a strong fight. The balcony was crowded. Among those attending were Mrs. Coretta King, Reverend Laurie, Martin Luther King III, and others. The final votes were counted. 78 yes, 22 no. Among the 22 people that voted against the Civil Rights Bill was a young senator from the state of Oklahoma, Senator Don Nichols. As we watched the vote with a great deal of interest, because when Don Nichols went to Washington, D.C., he had stated that he was going to represent all of the population of Oklahoma. He went there with the realization that the blacks in Oklahoma represented a minority. But knowing just facts, it would seem to me that Senator Nichols would have realized that if a minority of your body were hurting, then the whole body would respond. For example, suppose you had a toothache, which is a minority in your body, and if that tooth would ache, the whole body would feel the results. Don Nichols knew that from the beginning of the history of this country, black people have ached for freedom. He knows that they have felt the heartbeat of being a part of a country that says that I believe in freedom, yet denies freedom to its minorities. Don Nichols knew that the majority of the whites in Oklahoma dreamed too of freedom for all. Now, what does that have to do with the vote? The fight in the Senate was led by Senator Helms, a Republican from North Carolina, who had brought up all kinds of ideas concerning Martin Luther King Jr. But what he failed to report in his long debate, that before Martin Luther King took an active part in eliminating segregation and discrimination, that black people in Alabama, North Carolina, and Oklahoma could not ride in the front of buses. He did not mention the fact that in Montgomery, Alabama, there were many times when blacks would pay their fare at the front of the bus and then have to get off the bus and go to the back door and move in. He did not mention the fact that before Martin Luther King, there were thousands and thousands of blacks throughout the South that could not vote because of the illiteracy test and other means that would deny them a right. He did not mention the fact that there were so many black people that had died along with whites for the rights of freedom. No, he did not mention that. Rather, his entire argument was based upon the fact that Martin Luther King had some communist associates. Nor would he be fair in that argument, because he did not tell you that every president of the United States has associated with the communists through discussions. He did not tell you about the facts in the case, nor did he tell you that it was not Martin Luther King Jr. or black people that were selling wheat to the Russians that many have not thought seriously about, feeding someone so they can shoot your planes down. No, he did not say that. He did not tell the people of the conditions of blacks in his own home state. Yet, from the progressive state of Oklahoma, Don Nichols took his stand with Senator Helms. He took a walk into history. He took a walk with the old political order that fought against the elimination of slavery, that fought against the elimination of segregation and discrimination, that fought the Civil Rights Bill of 1964 and 65. Senator Nichols took a walk with the old political order that would deny men and women that have fought for this country all over the world and whose blood now is planted in our military cemeteries and other grounds all over the world, fighting for freedom. He didn't say that. But Senator Nichols, as I see it, suffered historical constipation and choked on the vomit of the past, as 78 senators moved into the sunlight of a new day when a black person would be recognized for his works. Senator Nichols missed a great opportunity and becomes, in my eyesight, a freedom intellectual dwarf. On Wednesday, America spoke through its legislative body. It was an eloquent and unequivocal expression of the dignity of man. It crossed political and racial lines and penetrated into the lives of human worth and dignity. The United States sent a message to the world that in spite of the difficulties of the moment, we in America still have a dream, and we are committing ourselves to continue to work for that dream. We will come together once a year as a family and discuss the principles of Martin Luther King, which called for solving our problems and moving nonviolently. Senator Nichols' argument was, first, that it would cost the nation too much. But where was Senator Nichols' voice when the Congressional Budget Office made an analysis of spending over the past 3 years? When that office found that spending cuts in 26 human resources programs hit the poor the hardest? Where was Senator Nichols when he found that the families that was earning less than $10,000 a year lost twice as much income and services as families with high income? Where was Senator Nichols when a fourth of the total that had been appropriated to help the survivor programs such as food stamps and welfare was cut off? Where was Senator Nichols when the employment and training programs, which will be down by 60%, and training for those disadvantaged, including youth, will be cut off by more than a third? Where was Senator Nichols with his conservative ideas when the nutrition programs were cut by 28%? Where was Senator Nichols when the compensatory education for disadvantaged children was cut by 17%? Where was Senator Nichols when 1 million people who were eligible for food stamp assistance no longer qualify for it? And where was Senator Nichols when 700,000 fewer students who were supposed to have gotten guaranteed student loans could no longer get them? And most of all, where was Senator Nichols when the school lunch program, participation dropped by $3 million? How do you figure dollars, Senator? Can it be figured in terms of the lives of people? It is cruel to make such massive cuts while preaching that you are interested in reducing the budget. I was senator, and I would like to repeat so Those of you out in Radio Land that carried Senator Nichols' signs and worked for him, I would like to repeat that according to the way I see it, Senator Nichols, a young senator who could have marched into the sunlight of a new day, suffered on the floor of the Senate historical constipation from the past, historical constipation, and choked as I see it on the vomit of the past as he voted against a bill that would affect so many. Now, those of you out in Radio Land, I know you will tell Senator Nichols, and let me tell you, I have already told him, so you will only be repeating what I have said. I talked to Dick, who works for Senator Nichols, and Dick told me that the senator was interested in the bill being on some other day, for example, on Sunday. And I said, I don't believe that a man with Senator Nichols' intelligence would propose such an amendment. I talked to the workers in Senator Nichols' office, and these workers told me that Senator Nichols had taken a survey of the people in the state of Oklahoma, and 1 out of every 10 was against Martin Luther King's birthday becoming a reality by being a holiday. And I told them that we are evidently listening to different drum beats because of the people that I have talked to. 100% of the black people that I have talked to in the state of Oklahoma say to me, we want a holiday for Martin Luther King Jr. And the majority of the whites that I've been in contact with and other NAACP leaders throughout this state have heard the voices of whites in the form of letters, in the form of telephone calls saying, we want Martin Luther King's birthday to be a national holiday. How easy it is to try to divide people on the King issue. And I cannot believe that white people in Oklahoma are living so far back in history that they would differ with Martin Luther King's birthday being a holiday. And I call upon those of you in Oklahoma, those of you that are intelligent enough to read the writing on the wall, I want you to contact Senator Nichols and let him know exactly how you feel. Call him in the Oklahoma City office and let's see really how he feels about blacks. How many blacks are working now as a result of Senator Nichols' help? And did you know the raise that the United States senators have received? Where was Nichols and his conservative ideas when they were talking about raising the senator's salary? These are questions that must be answered. And somebody say to me, Clara, that's the past. Why do you deal with it? Don't ask me. Ask the white man, why is it that he continues to deal with the past? If we do not understand the past, we will never move into the future with the skills, with the intelligence that are needed. Clara Luper reporting, KAEZ Radio in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This part of our program is a very interesting part because it's a part of our program where we bring to you facts concerning what is happening in Oklahoma. Well, it's Miss Black Oklahoma time in Oklahoma. And the Tulsa Eagle carried a wonderful article this week concerning the Tulsa Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. Concerning the Tulsa Miss Black Oklahoma pageant. It stated that Tulsa is now making preparation for Miss Black Oklahoma. And if Tulsa is making preparation, we know that something exciting is going to come out of Tulsa. We are getting ready in Oklahoma City, and we need your help. Those of you that know some talented young ladies, those of you that know some ladies between the ages of 18 and 25, we would like for you to contact us about Miss Black Oklahoma that will be televised in Oklahoma on June 16th, 1983. And we do have some good news. 1984, I'm sorry. We do have some good news. Our good news, very simple news. We are bringing Miss Black America to Oklahoma in June 1984. We would like for you to get in contact with us. My telephone number is 424-3949. This portion of our program is brought to you by Orange and Sons Trucking and Construction Company, specializing in asphalt work, parking lot maintenance, new construction, new construction expert repairs, paint stripping, complete overlay service, and custom stripping. Contact Orange and Son for your landfill excavating and landscaping needs. If you need some red dirt moved, contact Orange and Son. The telephone number is 769-4052. Now that's Mr. Joe Orange of the Orange and Sons Trucking and Construction Company. It's really interesting now that we are living in a day where we have minorities that are deeply involved in business. And the time has come now for the community, the total community, to respond to black businesses. This is easily done. All you'll have to do is to call Joe Orange, 769-4052 in Spencer, Oklahoma. Speaking of news, I have with me today Harold Ford, one of your Allstate insurance agent. Many of you remember Harold, and you went to school with him. You are part of his church. But are you part of his insurance business? Harold, how are you today?
Just finding you this evening, Miss Luper.
I am really happy to have you. I'm always happy to have you on radio. And I went down to Sears, and you're down at Sears on 23rd and Penn, right?
That's exactly right. We're down at 23rd and Penn at the Shepherd Mall store.
How is it going, Harold?
It's going pretty good. Insurance is a very unique business. It's one of those things that you get out what you put into it. And I'd like to take this time, of course, to always thank the many friends, customers, and the new friends that I've made. That's one of the greatest things about it. You get a chance to meet so many new people and make new friends.
You made new friends down at Sears?
Oh, without a doubt, definitely.
Well, how do you do? Why is it that people really need insurance?
Insurance is it's definitely a need. It's one of those things that you don't realize the need for it until you really need it. And oftentimes it's one of those intangibles, something that you can't really realize how important it is until you realize a financial loss in terms of a loss, something happening to your house or a damage to your car, even being involved in a lawsuit. And one of the most important things, if there's a loss of life where it may affect your family income.
I notice you and Marilyn work close together. What do you think about Marilyn Hildred as an insurance agent?
Marilyn is a person that when I need that little boost, that little inspiration, I call her, because she's always a person that can offer you a word of wisdom, some direction in terms of the insurance business. She's been in it for a number of years, and when there's any questions, I call her my second boss. When I have questions, I know I can depend upon Marilyn for a good, solid, and trustworthy answer.
You had the opportunity this year to work at Soul Bazaar 83.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you think of the people that attended Soul Bazaar 83, and what are your plans for Soul Bazaar 84?
I plan to do my plans for 1984 the same as they were in 80, 81, and 82. And what they are, Mr. Luper, something about Soul Bazaar is just as inspirational to me as anything I've ever been exposed to. The type of professionals that you find, the entrepreneurs, the people that are in business. It's one of the greatest exposures that any person involved in any kind of business can ever be involved in.
Did you benefit by Soul Bazaar 83?
Oh, yes, of course, without a doubt. At the friends we made, the contacts were made, and in the insurance business, one of the most important things is coming in contact with people more and more every day. And at the Soul Bazaar, there were so many diversified types of individuals that you met, and that word diversified may warrant some explanation. You have people from all walks of life coming through the Soul Bazaar.
Well, Soul Bazaar 84 will be held March 16th, 17th, and 18th, and we are looking for Miss Soul Bazaar. We are looking for the Soul Bazaar baby. We are looking for people with talent, and Kenny Freeman tells me that this will be the greatest gospel Soul Bazaar that we have ever had. Now, the parade will be on March 17th, and certainly I would like to invite everyone to be a part of Soul Bazaar. If you have any ideas how we can improve Soul Bazaar, please write me, Clara Luper, Post Office Box 14099. I would like for you to serve as part of our telephone calling committee, because I want you to call your friends and invite them to Soul Bazaar 84. Harold, at the Soul Bazaar last year, you had time to just do individual work with people who many of them did not know about the kind of automobile insurance and other things that are needed at this time.
Exactly right. What happens, you had a lot of individuals that would come up and ask about insurance, and so many times in the day-to-day work, people call and let you know that they want insurance, and you ask them, what type of coverages do you want? You know, the question is asked, what do you mean? At the Soul Bazaar, you have the opportunity to take the time to explain what liability insurance means, what uninsured motorist coverage mean, what comprehensive collision and those type of coverages mean as far as car insurance, and on the homes, how important it is to have your home adequately insured, and talking about life insurance. So Soul Bazaar is a dynamic opportunity for an individual to bring the business in and let the people of Oklahoma City and surrounding and the entire state know what they have to offer.
How do you know when you don't have enough insurance on your home? Take the average person like me.
Okay, well, my suggestion would be, Miss Luper, if you don't really know, you can give me a call at 524-1469, and I'll be more than happy to come out to your home, sit down, and talk to you about your insurance needs on your home, car, or your life insurance.
That's too expensive. I cannot afford to pay insurance agents to come out to my house and talk about insurance.
It doesn't cost you a thing. That's a part of the service of Allstate Insurance Company.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm very serious. Call me and try me.
Okay. Okay, now, if you notice, one thing, I'm talking to Harold Ford, who is a Allstate insurance agent, and you work out of what place?
We work out at the Sears store on 23rd in Pennsylvania in the Shepherd Mall complex. Miss Luper, I'd like to take the time, of course, always to congratulate you for the many achievements that you've accomplished, and I continuously pick up your book and read it. I enjoy reading it because that, again, is some inspiration to me. It makes me realize, it helps me to realize how grateful I should be and how grateful I am that some of the struggles that you went through and Marilyn and many other of her friends went through to make things possible for us today. I oftentimes go, and when I take my family out to dinner, you know, I look around, and while I'm looking around, people are looking at me too. And I realize that if it hadn't been for the efforts that you reflect in your book, I wouldn't be able to do that today.
I really appreciate it. I remember there were times in my life when people say something good about me, I just kind of didn't want them to say it. But now I'm at an age where I say that if you have any kind thing to say about me, please say it now. Don't wait till I die and come up with some resolution. You just resolve out there in Radio Land to buy a copy of my book. You resolve if you have anything nice to say about me, say it. Now, I don't have to tell the people that hate me because they always let me know exactly where they stand. And Harold, I would like to thank you for being here today. And one more question, and I'll let you go.
Sure.
Last Wednesday, 78 senators voted to pass the Civil Rights Bill, the Martin Luther King's holiday bill, which is certainly, to me, a great civil rights bill. What did you think of it, and what did you think of your senator, Senator Don Nichols?
My senator?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I think that was a landmark. To me, I'm proud to be able to know that in my day and time, in my life, things like that are happening. We're able to have a holiday recognizing one of our outstanding black leaders. And as far as the senator is concerned, that tells me a story. And the challenge I place upon every person within the sound of my voice, when it comes time for election or re-election, remember that.
Well, certainly, we should remember that. Now, I've not mentioned the fact that David Bourne took a stand as our senator. I would like to express my gratitude to Senator Bourne for his yes vote on last Wednesday. But then when I read in the morning's paper about why he voted, it became quite amusing. Can you imagine an intelligent senator voting for a bill, not for the man, but for the ideas that the man stood for? The symbol, he called it. The token, he called it. But I would like to ask the Honorable Senator Bourne, how do you separate the man from his ideas? Where do you think his ideas came? Floating in the air? Would you give Martin Luther King credit for the ideas that he brought forth in America? Now, it seems to me, and maybe I'm beginning to understand some things. Maybe I understand better why we have not had one senator, whether he's a Democrat or a Republican, to represent a black federal judge. And I say this quite often because I want it to echo in the minds of the people in Oklahoma. We do not have a black federal judge in the state of Oklahoma. Now, these judges are appointed by the president, but certainly they are recommended by the senator. We've got to take a look at this situation. And when I speak of our senators, we've got to look clearly at situations. And somebody in Oklahoma will have to tell the other side of the story. And it's another side of the story. Now, in a few weeks, we'll be asked to vote on a tax increase, 1 cent sales tax in Oklahoma. And we read with quite a bit of amusement an article in a local paper giving the salaries of some black people that work for the city. But one thing that was deliberately left out, the salaries that the whites were making in Oklahoma City. Why was it that we didn't read about a man and his wife on a salary in Oklahoma City? Why didn't we read about the fact that the city manager received a huge raise while the city workers received about a 5% raise? Why is it that we didn't publish the salaries of the white judges in Oklahoma City that's on the city payroll? Why? Now, there are going to be some questions that must be answered by this city administration, even the honorable mayor of the city, Mayor Coates. What happened to the money that was supposed to be used to promote Oklahoma City through another tax on the hotels? How much of that budget was spent in the black community? Okay, let's get out our books, get out our record books, and don't come to the east side of Oklahoma City telling us what we need. Tell us what has happened to the hotel tax as we look at the black needs of this community. Let's see how much of the city money has been spent with black contractors. How many dollars belong to the city have been placed in the only black bank in Oklahoma City? It must be more to this story than roads, highways, and streets. It must be another side of the story. Where are we as black people? And I want those of you out in radio land, those of you whose sewage has been backing up all over your places, I want you to speak out now, because if you don't speak out before this tax increase comes up, it will be too late afterwards. And certainly I would like to invite you to be with me next week as we take a look inside Oklahoma City. And let's see if the facts are being given to us or if we are standing on something that's very, very hot. Now, I would like to repeat, and I would like to have these questions answered. What percentage of that tax dollar, the hotel dollar, has been given to the black community? How much of that has been spent in advertising in black areas? Now, I would like to know, and certainly before I cast my vote, I need to know what is really happening. Can we compare the salaries of the whites with those of the blacks? Or is it fair to the average reader to say these are the salaries that black people are making in Oklahoma City today? Because it would be quite embarrassing to us to rejoice because we have one or two people making $40,000 a year, when whites with the same qualifications, similar job classifications, are making more than that. I think Roscoe Dungy did a professional job during the Emily Freeman case when we had black teachers that were thinking they were making good, they were really making something. Well, what Roscoe Dungy did, he threw the pen. He went down and pulled the white teachers' salaries, and boy, it was really a shocking experience because the black people that thought they were making something found out they were not making anything, and that led to the Emily Freeman case that gave black teachers and white teachers the same salary. This portion of our program is being brought to you by M&W Welding Company, 1314 North Oklahoma. Now, if you need some burglar bars, why don't you call 232-7760. Sir Charles the Tailor is rejoicing today because of the Martin Luther King holiday. And he says that you can celebrate not only Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, but you can celebrate any holiday, and you can look just right. All you have to do is to go to Sir Charles Attila, 6225 Southeast 15th Street here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I want you to remember me as a person that's pushing for the right to survive, and that comes through business. I have looked at many of you out in radio land, many of you bingo players who believe that to play bingo, you've got to leave the northeast side of Oklahoma City. And maybe you didn't understand what I have been telling you. I want to tell you that George Singer has a top bingo house in Oklahoma. It's known as the House of Bingo, located at 3613 North Everett Street, open 6 days a week from 7 to 11 p.m. Now, if you're going to play bingo, why don't you play it with George Singer, who not only operates the House of Bingo, but who's giving something back to this community in form of donations to the YMCA, the NACP, and others. Seals Cleaners is located at 3617 North Everett Street. It's open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can take your clothes over at 8 a.m. and you can get them out at 8 p.m. or even sooner. That's Seals Cleaners, 3617 North Everett Street here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Many of you call me and say, Clara, I'm so happy that you're on radio, and I would like to thank you for calling me. But I want you to know that unless you support our advertisers, we will not be able to stay on radio. Now, Portwood's Fashion Jewelry is located at 1904 North Eastern Street here in Oklahoma City. And he's in a big sale. He will be open every day except Mondays from 12 to 6. Now, I want you to go by Portwood's. And I want you to tell Portwood that Clara Luper sent you in. I want you to look, because it's time now to think about Christmas gifts and all of that. Go to Portwood Williams, 1904 Northeastern here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It's always great to be with you, and certainly all I have to do is to tell those of you out in radio land exactly what I need. I want you to know that I need you. And what makes me so happy about you is when I see you on the streets and you stop and you say hello to me. That means so much to me, because you are my reason for being. Clara Luper, KAEZ Radio in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I have used this hour today to say to the community, wake up, look around. And in looking around, you will find that you really need to come home to Medical Center State Bank. Have you read about the forces in Oklahoma that are urging the Cowboy Hall of Fame to leave the East Side? But you have not heard anybody urging black people to keep their money on the East Side in order that the East Side can grow like the West Side and other parts of Oklahoma. So today I want you to come home. I want you to come home to Medical Center State Bank. I want you to come home to a bank that has more blacks in important positions than all of the other banks in Oklahoma City. Who ever heard of a black female president of a bank? Well, we have one at Medical Center State Bank. Who ever heard of a black lady being vice president of a bank? Don't take my word for it. Go to Medical Center State Bank, which is also an integrated bank. Bring your money home to a bank that hires your people. Home to the only bank in Oklahoma with a black female president, a black chairman of the board, an equal opportunity bank. Bring your money home. Keep it in the northeast Oklahoma City area. Your heart is where your money is. So bring it on home, because Medical Center State Bank is a member of FDIC. And with your money at Medical Center State Bank, you have the same assurances that you will have at any other bank in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Why don't you test the water? Why don't you go to some of your majority churches and ask them about putting their money in Medical Center State Bank? Yet we have blacks that are so engulfed with Uncle Tom-ism that they have to take their money, church money, black money, to white banks to be happy. Sure, I have nothing against white banks, but I think we should play the game fair. I think if it's fair for black people to put their money in white banks, I think it's fair for white churches, organizations to put their money in black banks. And certainly I would like to salute the white people in Oklahoma City that are now using Medical Center State Bank. Now, those of you that work at Children's Hospital, Veterans Hospital, you're just across the street from the bank. Why don't you cut down on your gas and other expenses by going to Medical Center State Bank, a member of FDIC? And when you go in, be sure and tell them that you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. Draperies, bedspreads, curtains, ready-made and custom-made, all sizes and custom-made, very low prices. Stop, shop, and save at the Eastside Drapery Shop, 1415 Northeast 23rd Street. The telephone number is 424-2220. Opens Tuesday through Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have a discount to everyone. Go to the Eastside Drapery Shop and be sure and tell them you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. Those of you that want to exhibit in Soul Bazaar 84, be sure and let me know. We are now taking applications for exhibitors or for participants. Many of you would like to work in Soul Bazaar 84. I would like to invite you to be a part of Soul Bazaar 84. There are so many things that are going on in Oklahoma that I want you to be aware of. I want you to be on the lookout and see what you as a race and as a people will get out of the new sales tax. And remember, it's more to it than it seems. So when they come to you talking about the sales tax, be sure to talk to them about more than roads and street lights. Be sure and talk about the sewage that's backing up in many of your homes that you have called me about this week. Talk to them because they will listen now. In the meantime, I want all of you to rush out and register. If you see me, I have my papers with you. Register in order that you can make your voices heard. Let's register in order that we can progress. Now, one more thing about Senator Nichols. Did you know that the Pentagon bought plastic stool caps worth 26 cents each and paid $1,118 a piece for them? So if we are talking about saving money, the Honorable Senator Nichols does not realize that we can read at this time. So when Senator Nichols and Senator Bourne come home to the people that they are to represent, there must be some questions for them. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, on a radio station, namely KRMG, there was the host of a show called Martin Luther King Jr., Martin Luther Coon. That's the kind of representatives that we are talking about in Oklahoma. Those Tulsa blacks were not playing with him. Boy, they got on that air and they made him apologize, not one time, but 2 or 3 times, and certainly it's deserving. I would like for you to do a special something for me this week. I would like for you to visit Carlo's Sandwich Shop, 3340 North Kelly. Now remember, this is a home of something very, very special. They call it the home of Little James's Hamburger. But Little James's Hamburger is the biggest hamburger you have ever seen in your life. And they say it's the best hamburger that you have ever seen. That's Little James's Hamburger at Carlo's Sandwich Shop. And try that old Texas barbecue. We do have some great barbecue places in Oklahoma City. Now, all my white friends out there, I want you to make sure that you understand what I'm saying so you won't have to worry about it. I am saying to you that if you dislike Martin Luther King because he wanted to see to it that blacks would have the same rights as you, I want you to think for a minute. We might have come on different boats, but in that unemployment line, we are all chained together. I want you to remember that. And I want you to remember to let your voices be heard. So I call upon white people in Oklahoma. Write me. Let me know how you feel about Martin Luther King's birthday. And I can just see some of you going on picnics that work for the federal government on that holiday. I can just see you planning for it. And I think what you should do is to buy all white people in Oklahoma should have a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. in their homes to show that once upon a time there was a black man that called on America to live up to its America's responsibilities. Let's listen to his words. Let's listen to the words of Martin Luther King Jr. His words are beautiful. Let's listen to his words. Come on, black and white America. Let's listen. Listening to the words of a young man that won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Something is happening in Memphis, something is happening in our world. And you know, if I was standing at the beginning of time with the possibility of taking a kind of general and panoramic view of the whole of human history up to now, and the Almighty said to me, Martin Luther King, which age would you like to live in? I would take my mental flight by Egypt. And I would watch God's children in their magnificent trek from the dark dungeons of Egypt through, or rather across the Red Sea, through the wilderness on toward the Promised Land. And in spite of its magnificence, I wouldn't stop there. I would move on by Greece and take my mind to Mount Olympus. And I would see Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Euripides, and Aristophanes assemble around the Parthenon. And I would watch them around the Parthenon as they discussed the great and eternal issues of reality, but I wouldn't stop there. I would go on even to the great heyday of the Roman Empire. And I would see developments around there through various emperors and leaders, but I wouldn't stop there. I would even come up to the day of the Renaissance and get a quick picture of all that the Renaissance did for the cultural and aesthetic life of man, but I wouldn't stop there. I would even go by the way that the man for whom I'm named had his habitat. And I would watch Martin Luther as he tacked his 95 Theses on the door at the church of Wittenberg, but I wouldn't stop there. I would come on up even to 1863 and watch a vacillating president by the name of Abraham Lincoln finally come to the conclusion that he had to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, but I wouldn't stop there. I would even come up to the early 30s and see a man grappling with the problems of the bankruptcy of his nation and come with an eloquent cry that we have nothing to fear but fear itself, but I wouldn't stop there. Strangely enough, I would turn to the Almighty and say, if you allow me to live just a few years in the second half of the 20th century, I will be happy. Now that's a strange statement to make because the world is all messed up. The nation is sick. Trouble is in the land, confusion all around. That's a strange statement. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. And I see God working in this period of the 20th century in a way that men in some strange way are responding. Something is happening in our world. The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same: we want to be free. And another reason that I'm happy to live in this period is that we have been forced to a point where we are going to have to grapple with the problems that men have been trying to grapple with through history, but the demands didn't force them to do it. Survival demands that we grapple with them. Men for years now have been talking about war and peace, but now no longer can they just talk about it. It is no longer the choice between violence and non-violence in this world. It's non-violence or non-existence. That is where we are today. And also in the human rights revolution, if something isn't done and done in a hurry to bring the colored peoples of the world out of their long years of poverty, their long years of hurt and neglect, the whole world is doomed. Now, I'm just happy that God has allowed me to live in this period to see what is unfolding. And I'm happy that he's allowed me to be in Memphis. I can remember when Mrs. King and I were first in Jerusalem. We rented a car and drove from Jerusalem down to Jericho. And as soon as we got on that road, I said to my wife, I can see why Jesus used this as the setting for his parable. It's a winding, meandering road. It's really conducive for ambushing. You start out in Jerusalem, which is about 1,200 miles, or rather 1,200 feet above sea level. And by the time you get down to Jericho, 15 or 20 minutes later, you're about 2,200 feet below sea level. That's a dangerous road.
Yes, today, Dr. King, we're still traveling some dangerous roads. Our heart bled as we witnessed a double killing in Chicago in a courtroom. We know that our nation today must not only be concerned with the Russians shooting down planes, but we must be concerned with the way we are killing each other. The federal government, the state government, the city governments must speak out now. They must speak loud, and I think the Martin Luther King birthday will give them an opportunity to speak out for nonviolence. It must be spoken out in the lives of our families and friends and on down the road. This portion of our program has been brought to you by Wonder Bread, and certainly we would like to thank Wonder Bread for sponsoring this part of our program. Today we are in Wichita Falls. We will be in, let me get it right now for you. I'm taping this program because I'm going to join my church in going to Wichita Falls, Texas, where Reverend Bradford will bring where Reverend Bradford is scheduled to speak at 3 p.m. on Sunday. I am going down on Saturday evening with my entire family, where we are going to have a family reunion with Harold Blow, the Riverses, and the Shepherds. And as I say goodbye to you today, I'm really saying goodbye to you tomorrow, because tomorrow will give us a new insight on what's going to happen next week. But on next Sunday, I want you to be listening to the Clara Luper Show, because I will have the queens, the various homecoming queens, as my guest. I will have a representative from the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority and a representative from Langston University. In the meantime, the clock on the wall says that I have to go. And I have just enjoyed being so much with you today, and I couldn't leave here without telling you some of the things that were very close to me. Next week, if you want to buy my book, White Oklahoma Cityans, call me at 424-3948. Maybe you want to buy my book because I have told you the facts as I have seen them. And those of you that have walked down the streets of life with me, I just want to say goodbye to you today. And I want to tell you that the NACP convention will be held on the 11th and 12th in McAlester, Oklahoma, and we are expecting all of you to be there. On Monday night, the NACP Youth Council will meet at 7:30 p.m., and you are invited to be a part of it. This is Clara Luper saying goodbye, and I do love you.
See the glory of the coming of the Lord. I have a dream this afternoon that the brotherhood of man will become a reality in this day.
You got everything
with this faith, I will go out, carve a tunnel of hope through the mountain of despair. With this faith, I will go out with you and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. With this faith, we will be able to achieve this new day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing with the Negroes in the spiritual of all, free at last.